What happens when the safest place becomes the scene of a massacre? On a chilly Thursday afternoon, December 12, 2024, in the quiet Ballard neighborhood of Seattle, a light drizzle fell, cloaking the cobblestone streets in a misty haze. Craftsman-style homes with white picket fences and twinkling Christmas lights painted a perfect picture of winter warmth. At 1423 65th Street, the scent of freshly baked gingerbread cookies wafted from the kitchen, and the sound of children's laughter echoed from the living room. Everything seemed normal until it wasn't. At 4:47 p.m., a neighbor, Helen Carter, 62, stepped into her backyard to retrieve her grandson's stray ball. Through the low wooden fence, she caught a glimpse of a figure moving in the kitchen next door. A tall, slender black woman wearing a deep red sweater stood motionless by the sink. In her hand was a long kitchen knife, its steel blade glinting under the dim light. But what chilled Helen to the bone wasn't the knife, it was the silence. No sound, no movement, just the faint wisps of cold vapor drifting from the slightly open back door. Helen muttered, "Probably just chopping vegetables," and turned away, but an uneasy feeling crept into her chest. 5 minutes later, when she looked again, the woman was gone. The kitchen stood empty, the pale yellow light casting a glow on the polished wood floor, and a small, dark red puddle silently spreading from beneath the refrigerator. What had happened in that house? Who was the woman in the kitchen, and why was there no cry for help? Seattle, the city of rain and coffee, known for its gloomy but peaceful winter days, was now shrouded in a terrifying secret. The house at 1423, once a symbol of family happiness, had become the stage for a perfect crime, one no one suspected, hidden by the blind trust in a mother's love. That woman was Denise Washington, 38. A single black mother adored by neighbors for her devotion to her two young children, Jaden, 8, and Maya, 5. Denise, with her radiant smile and smooth brown skin, often brought homemade cookies to neighbors, fixed bikes for kids, and never missed a PTA meeting. "She's the perfect mom," Helen once told friends, always putting her kids first. But what drove Denise, a model mother, to cross the line from love to cruelty? The story began that fateful afternoon as the temperature outside dropped to 28 DGF2 and the ground began to freeze. Inside the warm house, a tragedy unfolded silently, concealed behind white painted walls and floral curtains. No one heard screams, no one suspected, and when the police finally arrived, led by Lieutenant Michael Reynolds, a tough white man with 15 years of experience, they found only a tidy home. No traces, no chaos, as if nothing had happened. But something was off. A child's woolen glove, stained with something dark, lay alone by the backyard trash can. A faint metallic smell lingered in the air, masked by the cinnamon and vanilla from the oven. And Denise Washington, calm as ever, sat on the sofa, hugging her children, saying in an even tone, "Everything's fine, officer. Must be a misunderstanding." Was it truly a misunderstanding? Or was this the start of a meticulously planned crime where the killer not only evaded blame but convinced everyone of her innocence? A secret lay buried in the frozen house in Seattle, waiting to be uncovered, and the haunting question lingered: do you really know the person you trust with your life? The Ballard neighborhood, tucked in northwest Seattle, Washington, was a peaceful place where middle-class families lived in craftsman-style wooden homes with green front yards and stone-paved paths. In the winter of 2024, as temperatures often dipped below freezing, residents maintained their friendly ways, waving over fences, swapping cookies, and gathering at the corner cafe for hot lattes. The house at 1423 65th Street, with its white walls and gray shingled roof, was the heart of that warmth. It was home to Denise Washington, a 38-year-old single black mother and her young children, Jaden and Maya. Denise, with her smooth brown skin and curly hair tied back neatly, worked from home as an accountant for a small Seattle firm. She moved to Ballard after divorcing her husband, a construction engineer, 4 years earlier. Despite the challenges, Denise seemed resilient. She woke at 5:30 a.m. to make breakfast for Jaden and Maya, drove them to school, worked 8 hours, then picked them up, cooked dinner, and read bedtime stories. Neighbors loved her thoughtfulness. She brought over chocolate chip cookies, helped Helen plant flowers, and threw birthday parties for local kids. "She's the kind of mom everyone wishes for," Tom Wynn, a nearby resident, remarked. Yet behind her bright smile, subtle signs of strain emerged. In recent months, Denise grew quieter, often closing her windows, and sometimes forgot to pick up Maya from preschool on time. Helen noticed Denise standing alone in the backyard, staring into space, hands clenched as if holding back something. Once I asked if she was okay, and she just smiled and said, "Just tired from work, Helen," she recalled. Andrew Harper, a 42-year-old real estate agent, noticed it too. 2 weeks earlier, he told a colleague, "Denise has been stressed lately. I worry she's struggling, but she won't open up." Andrew was a successful agent, known for his negotiation skills and friendly smile. With light brown hair, blue eyes, and a tall frame, he embodied reliability. Living alone a few blocks away, he often visited Denise's, fixing pipes, playing basketball with Jaden, or chatting over coffee. Neighbors saw him as the neighborhood hero, always helping without asking for anything. He met Denise 3 years ago, aiding her with a rental deal post-divorce. Their friendship bloomed, and some whispered Andrew felt more than friendship. "He told me Denise is the strongest person I know," Helen recalled. He admired how she raised 2 kids alone. The winter of 2024 brought pressure. Denise's firm cut her hours, slashing her income. Heating bills soared in Seattle's harsh cold, and Jaden asked about his absent father. She hid her struggles, but friends noticed her snapping at Jaden, unusual for her. Once Jaden ran to my house, saying, "Mom yelled because I broke a glass," Helen remembered. "I thought it was just single mom stress." Andrew offered financial help, but Denise snapped, "I don't need pity." Some neighbors speculated he wanted more than friendship, but she wasn't ready. Still, he kept coming by, bringing toys or fixing the heater as temperatures hit 20 DGF6 DGC. A week before December 12, he told Helen, "I just want her to know I'm here. She and the kids deserve better." Odd signs appeared before the day. On Tuesday, Denise ordered a new fridge, though the old one worked fine, insisting on same-day delivery. On Wednesday, she bought a new knife set at Target, telling the clerk she needed something sharper. Andrew grew worried, texting a friend, "Denise was weird yesterday. She stared at me like I did something wrong. I don't get it." That morning, December 12th, Ballard seemed normal. Light snow fell, kids played, coffee scented the air. Denise dropped Jaden and Maya at school, waving to parents. Andrew arrived at 10 a.m. with donuts. They laughed in the kitchen, but Helen, peering through her window, saw Denise's hands clench until her knuckles whitened. "I thought she was just tired," she mused. No one knew a storm was brewing in that warm house. Ballard's peace, with its misty streets and Christmas lights, was about to shatter with a terrifying secret. What pushed Denise, the devoted mother, to the edge? And had Andrew, the kind friend, unwittingly become the target of an unthinkable plan? The Ballard neighborhood, nestled in northwest Seattle, Washington, was a tranquil haven where middle-class families lived in charming craftsman-style homes, their front yards lush with greenery and paths lined with stone. In the winter of 2024, as temperatures often dip below freezing, the community held fast to its friendly rituals, waving over fences, trading Christmas cookies, and sipping hot lattes at the corner cafe. The house at 1423 65th Street, with its white-painted walls and gray shingled roof, stood as a beacon of warmth. This was the home of Denise Washington, a 38-year-old single black mother, and her 2 young children, Jaden and Maya. The victim, Andrew Harper. Andrew Harper, 42, was a successful real estate agent, well known in the area for his sharp negotiation skills and warm, approachable smile. With light brown hair, piercing blue eyes, and a tall, sturdy build, Andrew was the picture of dependability. He lived alone in an apartment a few blocks away, but was a frequent visitor at Denise's, helping with tasks like fixing leaky pipes, shooting hoops with Jaden, or simply chatting over a cup of coffee. Neighbors dubbed him the neighborhood hero, always ready to lend a hand without expecting anything in return. He and Denise met 3 years earlier when he helped her secure a rental deal after her divorce. Their friendship grew from there, and some quietly speculated that Andrew's feelings for Denise ran deeper than platonic. He told me, "Denise is the strongest person I know." Helen Carter, a neighbor, recalled he admired how she raised 2 kids on her own. Denise's family life. Denise Washington, with her smooth brown skin and curly hair tied back neatly, worked from home as an accountant for a small Seattle company. She moved to Ballard 4 years ago after divorcing her husband, a construction engineer. Life wasn't easy, but Denise carried herself with resilience. She rose at 5:30 a.m. to cook breakfast for Jaden, 8, and Maya, 5, drove them to school, worked an 8-hour day, then picked them up, made dinner, and read bedtime stories. Neighbors adored her thoughtfulness. She'd bring over homemade chocolate chip cookies, help Helen plant tulips, and host birthday parties for the local kids. "She's the kind of mom everyone wishes for," Tom Nguyen, a nearby resident, said. But beneath her radiant smile, cracks were starting to show. Over the past few months, Denise grew quieter, often shutting her windows, and occasionally forgot to pick up Maya from preschool on time. Helen noticed her standing alone in the backyard, staring into the distance, hands clenched tight as if wrestling with something inside. Once, I asked if she was okay, and she just smiled and said, "Just tired from work, Helen," she recounted. Andrew picked up on it too. 2 weeks before, he confided to a coworker, "Denise has been stressed lately. I worry she's struggling, but she won't open up." Undercurrents of tension. The winter of 2024 piled pressure on Denise. Her company cut back her hours, slashing her income significantly. Heating bills skyrocketed in Seattle's bitter cold, and Jaden began asking about his father, who had cut off contact years ago. Denise hid her struggles well, but friends noticed her snapping at Jaden, a rare shift from her usual patience. "One time, Jaden ran to my house saying Mom yelled because I broke a glass," Helen remembered. "I thought it was just the stress of being a single mom." Her bond with Andrew grew complicated too. With his kind nature, Andrew often offered financial help, but Denise bristled. "I don't need pity," she told him sharply, her voice cold. Some neighbors whispered that Andrew might want more than friendship, but Denise seemed unready. Still, he kept coming by, bringing toys for the kids or fixing the heater. When temperatures plunged to 20 DEGF a week before December 12th, he told Helen, "I just want her to know I'm here. She and the kids deserve better." Signs of unease. In the days leading up to the crime, odd details surfaced. On Tuesday, Denise ordered a new refrigerator even though her old one worked fine. The delivery man recalled her insistence on same-day service, her voice urgent. On Wednesday, she bought a new set of kitchen knives at a nearby Target, telling the clerk she needed something sharper. Meanwhile, Andrew grew concerned. He texted a friend, "Denise was weird yesterday. She stared at me like I did something wrong. I don't get it." The morning of December 12th, Ballard felt normal. Light snow dusted the ground, kids played outside, and the scent of coffee drifted from the nearby cafe. Denise dropped Jaden and Maya off at school as usual, waving to other parents with her usual smile. Andrew stopped by at 10 a.m. carrying a box of donuts to share. They sat at the kitchen table, laughing and talking, but Helen, glancing through her window, noticed Denise's hands clenching tight, her knuckles whitening. "I thought she was just tired," she told herself. A deceptive calm. That morning, the house at 1423 seemed like any other in Ballard. Denise, in her deep red sweater, moved through her routine, packing lunches, kissing Jaden and Maya goodbye, and waving to neighbors. Andrew's visit brought a moment of lightness. His hearty laugh filling the kitchen as he said, "I bet Jaden will love the bike I got him for Christmas." Denise nodded, her eyes flickering to the new knife set on the counter. The air outside was crisp, the drizzle turning to light snow, and the neighborhood buzzed with holiday cheer. Lights twinkling, reeds on doors, and the promise of a cozy season. But subtle hints of trouble lingered. The new fridge, delivered just the day before, hummed quietly in the kitchen. The knives, gleaming and sharp, sat ready on the counter. Denise's quiet moments in the backyard, her clenched fists, and her sharp refusals of Andrew's help painted a picture of a woman under strain. Andrew, ever the helper, seemed oblivious, his kindness unwavering. "I just want to be there for her," he'd told Helen, his blue eyes earnest. No one suspected the storm brewing beneath the surface. The peaceful streets of Ballard, blanketed in mist and snow, hid a growing tension. Denise, the devoted mother, was battling unseen pressures, financial strain, a child's questions, a friend's well-meaning but persistent offers. Was it exhaustion? Or something darker? Andrew, the trusted neighbor, remained a constant presence, his goodwill a fixture in her life. But had his kindness somehow become a threat in her eyes? As the day wore on, the temperature held at 28 DGF to that 2 DC, the ground icing over. Inside 1423, the oven warmed the air with the scent of gingerbread, and Jaden and Maya's laughter rang out. To the outside world, Denise was still the perfect mom, the pillar of the block. But within those white walls, something was shifting. The calm of Ballard, with its snowy paths and festive glow, was on the brink of shattering. What had pushed Denise, the loving mother, to the edge? And was Andrew, the kind friend, unknowingly stepping into a trap no one could imagine? On December 12, 2024, the Seattle sky hung gray and heavy, a relentless drizzle coating the Ballard neighborhood in a chilling mist. The temperature outside clung to 28 DEG, F2 DEC, and the ground began to freeze, forming slick patches on the cobblestone paths. Inside 1423 65th Street, the air seemed normal. The oven wafted the scent of gingerbread cookies, Christmas lights blinked by the windows, and the TV blurred cartoons from the living room where Jaden and Maya, Denise Washington's children, laughed away. But beneath this calm veneer, a horrifying tragedy was quietly taking shape. 11:30 AMA, the fateful day begins. That morning, Denise Washington, a 38-year-old black mother with a calm demeanor, brought Jaden, 8, and Maya, 5, home from school. Dressed in a deep red sweater, her curly hair tied back neatly, she smiled at other parents as usual. Andrew Harper, 42, her kind friend, had stopped by at 10 a.m. with a box of donuts. They sat at the kitchen table, sipping coffee, chatting about the upcoming. Andrew laughed heartily, saying, "I bet Jaden will love the bike I got him." Denise nodded, but her eyes drifted to the new kitchen knife on the counter, a sharp, gleaming piece from the set she'd bought at Target the day before. 2:15 p.m., silent tension builds. After lunch, Andrew offered to fix a leaky pipe under the kitchen sink. He knelt down, opening the cabinet, tools scattered across the wood floor. Denise stood nearby, a glass of water in hand, but her breathing grew heavy, her eyes narrowing as she watched him. "Thanks, Andrew," she said, her voice flat, almost mechanical. He looked up, wiping sweat from his brow, and smiled. "No problem, Denise. I'm always here." Jaden and Maya giggled in the living room, glued to their cartoons, oblivious. Outside, a cold wind whistled through the door's cracks, carrying the bone-chilling bite of Seattle's winter. 3:42 p.m., the act begins. 3:42 p.m., Denise turned to Andrew. "I need help with something in the basement. There's a heavy box I can't lift." Andrew, ever willing, nodded at once, standing and brushing his hands on his jeans. They descended the old wooden stairs, their footsteps echoing in the narrow space. The basement was cold, the weak light from a ceiling bulb casting shadows on wooden shelves piled with old boxes and tools. Denise pointed to a corner, saying, "The box is over there." Andrew turned, bending to search. In that moment, Denise, her face cold as ice, slipped an 8-inch steel knife from her sweater, sharp, glinting faintly in the dim light. 3:45 p.m., the crime strikes. Without a sound, Denise stepped forward, raising the knife. The bulb's light flashed off the blade, a brief, bright streak. She plunged it down, swift and precise, into Andrew's back just below his left shoulder. He froze, mouth gaping, a faint groan escaping before he collapsed onto the cold concrete floor. Blood pooled, dark red, seeping into the floor's tiny cracks. The metallic scent filled the air, mingling with the basement's musty dampness. Denise didn't flinch. She knelt, checking Andrew's breathing. Faint, then gone. Her eyes unblinking, her face blank, she moved as if ticking off a routine chore. 3:50 p.m., a perfect cover-up. Denise acted fast. She dragged Andrew's body to a corner of the basement where the new refrigerator delivered the day before waited. Opening the door, she heaved him into the freezer, bending his limbs to fit. Blood dripped to the floor, but she was ready, a bucket of water and rag at hand. She scrubbed the stains, meticulously wiping each drop, the smell of soap overtaking the faint iron tang. The knife was washed under the sink, its blade gleaming again, then returned to the kitchen counter, untouched in appearance. At 4:10 p.m., she climbed the stairs, checked the kids, Jaden and Maya, still engrossed in the TV, unsuspecting. Denise turned on the oven, tossing the bloodied rag inside, the gingerbread aroma soon flooding the house. 4:30 p.m., a chilling calm. By 4:30 p.m., everything seemed undone. The basement floor was spotless, the fridge sealed, humming softly. A tiny red trickle leaked from the freezer's edge, but Denise nudged it into a corner, hiding it with an old box. Still in her red sweater, she stood by the kitchen sink, gazing out the window to the backyard. The pale yellow light from the kitchen lamp bathed her face, showing no trace of worry. Outside, the mist thickened, veiling any hints of what had happened. 4:47 p.m., a neighbor's glimpse. At 4:47 p.m., Helen Carter, the 62-year-old neighbor, stepped into her backyard for her grandson's ball. Through the fence, she saw Denise still by the sink, knife in hand, her gaze distant. Cold vapor drifted from the cracked back door, mingling with the mist. Helen muttered, probably just cutting veggies, and turned away, but unease gripped her. When she looked back, 5 minutes later, Denise was gone. The kitchen stood empty, the dim light glowing, and a small dark red puddle spread quietly from beneath the fridge. A silent climax. No screams, no frantic footsteps, no signs of panic. Denise returned to the living room, hugging Jaden and Maya, whispering, "Mommy loves you." The house at 1423 slipped back into peace, as if Andrew Harper had never entered. Outside, Seattle's chill froze everything, from the streets to the grim secret in the basement. Denise had pulled off a perfect crime, calculated, cold, and traceless. The metallic scent was gone, masked by baking spices. The knife rested innocently on the counter. The children laughed, unaware. The drizzle turned to light snow, dusting the Ballard streets. The neighborhood carried on. Kids played, lights twinkled, and the cafe buzzed with warmth. But inside 1423, a line had been crossed. Denise, the devoted mother, had turned a place of safety into a scene of horror. The fridge hummed, sealing Andrew's fate within its icy grip. The calm was eerie, the silence heavy. No one suspected the woman in the red sweater, the one who baked cookies and kissed her kids goodnight. Had she planned this all along? The new fridge, the sharp knives, the quiet moments of strain? Clues now in hindsight. Andrew, the friend who only wanted to help, lay hidden, his kindness silenced. The house stood as it always had, white walls and floral curtains hiding the truth. Seattle's winter deepened, the temperature steady at 28 degrees of 2, freezing the ground and the secret within. Denise moved through her day, her face a mask of normalcy. But could perfection last? Would the darkness beneath the Christmas lights soon come to light? On December 12, 2024, the Ballard neighborhood of Seattle remained gripped by winter's chill, the temperature holding steady at 28 DGFPD-DC. Drizzle and fog cloaked the cobblestone streets, Christmas lights flickering faintly through the haze. The house at 1423 65th Street stood calm. The scent of gingerbread cookies drifted from the kitchen, children's laughter rang from the living room, but beneath this peaceful facade, a horrifying secret lurked in the basement, where Andrew Harper's body lay frozen in Denise Washington's new refrigerator. 4:47 p.m. A witness's glimpse. Helen Carter, a 62-year-old neighbor, became an unwitting witness to the day's dark turn. After stepping into her backyard to grab her grandson's stray ball, she peered through the low wooden fence and saw Denise, the 38-year-old black mother, standing still by the kitchen sink, a knife gleaming in her hand. Denise's deep red sweater stood out under the pale yellow light, and cold vapor drifted from the slightly open back door. Helen, with her silver hair tied back and glasses slipping down her nose, thought probably just chopping veggies. But when she glanced back at 4:52 p.m., Denise had vanished. The kitchen was empty, only the dim light glowing, and a small, dark red puddle spread from beneath the fridge. Helen's heart raced. "Something's not right," she muttered, clutching the ball tightly. She hesitated, thinking of Denise, the devoted mother who brought cookies, fixed bikes for kids, and never missed a school event. Am I imagining this, she wondered? The red puddle, the faint metallic whiff, carried by the cold wind, gnawed at her. She shuffled back home, hands trembling, and peeked through her window again. Denise now sat on the sofa, hugging Jaden and Maya, smiling as if nothing was wrong. 5:10 p.m., Helen's hesitation. Helen sank into her armchair, the fireplace's glow warming her wrinkled face. She thought of Andrew Harper, the kind man who often visited Denise, unseen since before 3 p.m. "Where's Andrew?" she mused. "He always waved goodbye, but not today." Her fingers hovered over her phone, ready to dial 911, but doubt crept in. What if I'm wrong? Denise is a wonderful mom. What if it's just tomato sauce? The fear of harming Denise's reputation. A black single mother already facing life's pressures held her back. She recalled news stories of unfair treatment, of systems too quick to judge. The weight of that possibility froze her hand. 5:25 p.m., a game-changing detail. The hesitation couldn't last. At 5:25 p.m., Helen pulled on her coat and wool hat, stepping back into the yard. Seattle's biting cold turned her breath to mist. Through the fence, she scanned Denise's backyard. All was quiet, save the faint hum from the basement, the new fridge. Then she spotted it, a small blue woolen glove, the kind Jaden often wore, lying alone by the trash can. What chilled her was the dark, reddish stain marring it. Not sauce. Not mud. She bent closer, not touching, but a faint metallic scent hit her, mixing with the damp, cold air. Helen stepped back, heart pounding. "This isn't a coincidence," she whispered. She recalled Denise's distant stare while holding the knife, the eerie stillness of the house, Andrew's absence. No wave, no text, no sign, fueled a dreadful hunch. Something terrible had happened at 1423. Her hands clenched, breath shaking in the icy air. "I have to do something," she told herself, yet fear of being wrong, of the fallout, rooted her in place. 5:40 p.m., the decision to speak. Helen returned indoors, hands trembling as she dialed 911. I think something's wrong at my neighbor's," she stammered to the dispatcher. "I saw Denise Washington with a knife, and there's a red stain under the fridge. Andrew Harper was there, but he didn't leave. I'm worried." The dispatcher, calm and steady, asked, "Did you hear screams or fighting? See anyone hurt?" Helen shook her head, though unseen, and replied, "No, but something's off. I feel it." The call ended with a promise. Police would check it out. Helen sat, staring at the phone, her stomach churning. Had she done the right thing? 6:05 p.m. police arrive. At 6:05 p.m., a Seattle Police Department patrol car rolled quietly to a stop outside 1423. Lieutenant Michael Reynolds, a 45-year-old white officer, tall and broad with short blonde hair and sharp eyes, stepped out with a colleague. With 15 years on the force, Reynolds had handled everything from theft to domestic violence. He knocked, and Denise opened the door, still in her red sweater, a calm smile on her face. "Hello, officers," she said softly. "Must be a misunderstanding. Everything's fine." Jaden and Maya sat on the sofa, clutching teddy bears, gazing up with wide eyes. Reynolds scanned the scene. The house was spotless, the gingerbread scent strong, no signs of chaos, but Helen, watching from a distance, pointed to the backyard, whispering to an officer, "The glove, it's there. And the red stain under the fridge." Reynolds nodded, his eyes narrowing. The stained blue glove by the trash can was small but jarring detail. He didn't yet suspect Denise, the devoted mother, beloved by all, but unease stirred. "We're just checking, ma'am," he told Denise, his tone professional. The turning point begins. The glove, the faint metallic smell, and Andrew's disappearance were the first threads of truth. Helen, though scared, had broken the silence, opening a path to unravel the mystery. The house at 1423, with its perfect exterior, now faced scrutiny. Reynolds noted Denise's calm, too calm perhaps. The red puddle, tiny and overlooked, hinted at horror. The basement, hum. The glove stain. And Helen's shaky words shifted the tide. No one had heard her struggle. Denise's smile and the children's innocence painted a normal scene. But the pieces didn't fit. Andrew, the helpful neighbor, was gone. The fridge, newly bought, hummed with a secret. Seattle's cold deepened, the fog thick, hiding the truth in plain sight. Helen's heart raced as she watched the officers. Had she misjudged? Or had she just saved the day? Reynolds and his team lingered, their flashlights cutting through the mist. The glove was bagged, the backyard searched. Denise stood by, unruffled, her arms around Jaden and Maya. The neighborhood, once a haven, held its breath. The perfect crime, clean, calculated, cloaked in trust, was cracking. Would Denise keep her secret buried? Or would the frozen truth in the basement soon surface, exposing the darkness behind the gingerbread and Christmas lights? On December 12, 2024, Seattle's biting cold gripped the Ballard neighborhood, the temperature locked at 28 DF2 DCC. Thick fog shrouded the Christmas lights, and the house at 1423 65th Street held a deceptive calm. Denise Washington, the 38-year-old black mother, sat on the sofa, hugging Jaden and Maya, smiling at Lieutenant Michael Reynolds as he arrived, but the stained child's glove by the trash can and Helen Carter's uneasy testimony had sparked suspicion. A perfect crime was teetering, threatened by tiny clues. 6:05 p.m., the investigation began. Lieutenant Michael Reynolds, a 45-year-old white officer with 15 years at the Seattle Police Department, led the initial check. He scanned the house. The wood floor gleamed, gingerbread scent filled the air, no signs of a struggle. Denise, in her red sweater, said softly, "Must be a misunderstanding, officers. Andrew was here, but he left." Reynolds nodded, his eyes drifting to the kitchen where Helen had pointed out a red stain under the fridge. He directed Officer Emily Parker to photograph the scene and bag the blue woolen glove, its dark stain hinting at a metallic smell. 6:30 p.m., first forensic clues. The glove was rushed to the Seattle PD lab. While awaiting results, Reynolds and Parker searched the backyard and basement. The basement door felt icy, the new fridge humming steadily. Reynolds opened it, a cold gust hitting him, carrying a faint metallic whiff. Inside the freezer, Andrew Harper's body appeared. Stiff, limbs bent, blood crusted on his shirt. Reynolds stepped back, breath misting in the chill. "We've got a homicide," he said into his radio, voice low and firm. Parker snapped photos, noting, "Body found at 6:42 p.m., no signs of movement. A blood sample from the fridge's edge was collected for DNA testing." 7:15 p.m., questioning Denise. Denise was asked to the living room for questions. Reynolds, professional and steady, began, "Ms. Washington, when did Andrew Harper leave?" Denise, eyes calm, replied, "Around 3 p.m., I think. He fixed the pipe, then went." Reynolds jotted notes, then asked, "How do you explain the red stain under the fridge and the glove with something odd on it by the trash?" Denise shrugged, voice even. "Probably tomato sauce. Jaden spills things. I cleaned up." Reynolds watched. No trembling hands, no flickering eyes, as if rehearsed. He stated, "You have the right to remain silent per Miranda rights. Anything you say can be used in court." Denise nodded, still smiling. 9:00 p.m. forensic results. At 9:00 p.m., the lab sent initial findings. The stain on the glove was human blood, matching Andrew Harper's type. A positive. The fridge's blood sample aligned too. Preliminary DNA test confirmed it was Andrew's with 99.9% certainty. Reynolds frowned, reviewing photos. No shoe prints, no clear fingerprints on the spotless kitchen knife, but a small clue emerged. A neighbor, Tom Nguyen, had a security camera that caught a figure in a red sweater moving in the backyard at 4:10 p.m. near Andrew's disappearance. The image was blurry, but suspicion grew. 10:30 p.m. deeper search. Reynolds secured a search warrant from the court, approved swiftly with the blood and body evidence. At 10:30 p.m., the forensic team returned to 1423. They scoured the basement using UV light to reveal faint blood traces on the concrete, wiped clean, but luminescent chemicals exposed them. The kitchen knife was tested, no blood, no prints, but soap residue suggested a recent wash. In the oven, they found ash from a burned cloth, likely a rag. Denise, questioned, said, "I burned an old rag because it was dirty. What's wrong with that?" Reynolds stayed silent, doubt mounting. 11:45 p.m., confrontation. Reynolds brought Denise to the station for formal questioning. In a small room, fluorescent lights glaring, he faced her, placing photos of Andrew's body and the glove on the table. "Miss Washington, Andrew's blood is on your son's glove and under your fridge. His body's in your basement. How do you explain this?" Denise lowered her head, silent for a moment, then looked up, eyes glistening. "I didn't know he was there. Someone must have put him in. I'm just a mom, officer. I love my kids." Her voice cracked, but Reynolds, seasoned, noted the oddity. Tears came too fast, too staged. 1:00 a.m., December 13, the unmasking moment. The final piece came from a traffic camera blocks away. At 1:00 a.m., the team reviewed footage. No cars or strangers entered the area after 3 p.m., meaning Andrew never left. Paired with the blood, the body, and Denise's unnerving calm, Reynolds saw the truth. He whispered to Parker, "That's when we knew. Denise Washington isn't innocent. She planned it all. But why?" The team dug deeper, piling bills, shrinking income, and Andrew's texts. "Denise, I just want to help. Don't push me away." Had she feared his help threatened her control? Initial investigation wraps. Forensic evidence, blood, DNA, cameras pointed to Denise. No break-in, no third party. The crime was concealed flawlessly, blood scrubbed, body hidden, rag burned. But the glove and tiny red trickle undid her cover. Reynolds prepped the file for prosecutors. Denise, the beloved mother, now faced murder suspicion. The basement's secret was thawing, revealing a cold truth. The team pieced it together. At 3:42 p.m., Denise lured Andrew to the basement. At 3:45, she stabbed him, precise and silent. By 3:50, she hid him in the fridge, cleaned the scene, and burned the rag. The knife, washed, sat innocent. At 4:30, she stood calm, the house normal. Helen's call brought police and clues. Glove, blood, footage, unraveled it. Motive lingered murky. Financial strain, bills, cut hours pressed hard. Jaden's questions about his dad added stress. Andrew's offers, kind but constant, may have felt like a threat to her independence. The new fridge, the sharp knives, planned or coincidence. Denise's calm, her lack of panic, hinted at calculation. At a reeled, neighbors whispered, stunned. The house at 1423, once warm, stood silent in the fog. Reynolds, seasoned but shaken, knew this case was unique. Denise had nearly fooled them all. Her smile, her hugs, her cookies masking a killer. The file grew thick. Photos, lab reports, timelines. Prosecutors awaited. Would justice prevail, or would Denise's perfect plan somehow hold? The frozen secret of Seattle was cracking open. On December 13th, 2024, Seattle's harsh cold clung to the Ballard neighborhood, the temperature steady at 28 DEGFTE. Thick fog veiled the Christmas lights, and the house at 1423 65th Street, once a symbol of family warmth, stood as the grim scene of a crime. Denise Washington, the 38-year-old black mother adored by neighbors, was suspected of killing Andrew Harper, her kind friend, and hiding his body in the basement fridge. Forensic evidence, blood, DNA cameras had cracked her perfect cover. Now, justice began to speak. In 30 AIE EM December 13 arrest and charges. Lieutenant Michael Reynolds, a 45-year-old white officer of the Seattle Police Department, finalized the case file after questioning. At 1:30 a.m., Denise Washington was arrested at the station, charged initially with first-degree murder. Reynolds read her Miranda rights again. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used in court. Denise, in her red sweater, eyes calm, merely nodded, silent. Jaden, 8, and Maya, 5, were entrusted to Helen Carter's temporary care. The children's cries echoed as the patrol car took their mother away, leaving Ballard in shock. January 2025, trial begins. The trial opened at King County Courthouse in Seattle on January 15, 2025. Prosecutor Laura Bennett laid out the evidence. Andrew Harper's blood on Jaden's glove, the stain under the fridge, the body in the freezer, and camera footage showing Andrew never left after 3 p.m. on December 12. The autopsy confirmed the cause, a single knife stab to the back, piercing a lung, causing fatal blood loss. Denise's defense attorney, James Coleman, argued no direct witnesses existed, and Denise, a single mother, lacked a clear motive. She's a victim of circumstance, not a killer, he said. But the 12-person jury began leaning toward the prosecution. February 2025, testimony and confrontation. At trial, Helen Carter, trembling on the stand, recounted seeing Denise with a knife by the sink, the red stain under the fridge, and the bloodied glove. I didn't want to believe it, but something felt wrong, she said, eyes teary. Prosecutor Bennett asked, did you see anyone else enter the house? Helen shook her head. Denise, at the defense table, kept a blank face, hands clasped. Coleman suggested an intruder hid the body, but traffic cameras and no signs of a break-in debunked this. Motive emerged. Andrew's texts, Denise, I just want to help. Don't push me away, paired with financial strain. Skyrocketing bills, reduced income, hinted Denise feared his interference, threatened her autonomy. February 2025, verdict. After 3 weeks, the jury deliberated for 5 hours. On February 20, the foreperson, a middle-aged woman, stood. We find the defendant, Denise Washington, guilty of first-degree murder. The courtroom fell silent, then murmurs rose. Denise bowed her head, expressionless, as Helen in the back wept. The judge sentenced her to 25 years without parole in Washington State Prison. Bennett told the press, justice is served for Andrew Harper, a good man, taken by someone he trusted. Aftermath for family and community. Jaden and Maya were placed with Denise's sister, Carla Washington, in Tacoma. The children, innocent and confused, asked, where's mommy? When's she coming back? Carla, voice breaking, told a Seattle Times reporter, "Denise loved her kids. I don't understand this." Ballard sank into grief. Helen, who called the police, wrestled with guilt. If I'd stayed quiet, would things be different? Neighbors held a memorial for Andrew, laying flowers and candles outside his home, a sign reading, "Andrew Harper, our hero, forever remembered." Long-term impact. The case rocked Seattle, sparking debate about single mothers' pressures. A local group, Mothers Support Network, pushed for more financial and mental health aid for women like Denise, arguing stress can lead to extremes. No new laws passed, but Ballard schools launched counseling for kids hit by family violence. Media like 20/20 covered the story, detailing how a model mother hid a perfect crime, chilling the public. "She was who we trusted," a neighbor said on TV, but the truth is horrifying. Reflection on the case. Denise Washington's case left a painful lesson. How could a devoted, beloved mother kill a friend who only helped? Financial pressure, loneliness, and fear of losing control may have pushed her over the edge. Yet the calculation, hiding the bodies, scrubbing blood, burning the rag, revealed a cold plan, stunning neighbors and police. Reynolds, post-trial, told a colleague, "I've seen many cases, but this haunts me. She had us all fooled." The timeline was clear. At 3:42 p.m., Denise lured Andrew to the basement. At 3:45, she stabbed him. Swift and silent. By 3:50, she hid him in the fridge, cleaned the scene, burned the rag, the knife, washed, sat pristine. At 4:30, she was calm, the house normal. Helen's 911 call brought Reynolds. And clues, glove, blood, footage unraveled it. Motive lingered, complex. Bills piled up, income shrank, Jaden's questions about his dad stung. Andrew's kindness, persistent and well-meant, may have felt like a threat. The new fridge, the sharp knives, preparation or chance? Her calm, her lack of panic pointed to intent. No one saw it coming. Denise baked cookies, hugged her kids, waved to neighbors, hiding a killer within. Ballard bore the scars. The house at 1423 stood empty. Windows dark, no Christmas lights. Neighbors, once close, eyed each other warily. Helen replayed that day, the glove, the stain, her call. Jaden and Maya grew up with Carla, clinging to faint memories of hugs and gingerbread. The community mourned Andrew as generosity, a lost life. Justice prevailed. Denise imprisoned, Andrew honored, but pain lingered. The trial closed a chapter, but questions echoed. Could support have saved Denise? Did Andrew's help push too far? The perfect crime, cloaked in trust, fooled all until Helen's courage and Reynolds' work exposed it. Seattle's winter froze the streets, but the chill of betrayal cut deeper. The house, once warm, stood as a ghost. Ballard, a quiet haven, carried a wound. Media retold the tale, a warning of hidden darkness. Denise, the perfect mom, became a paradox, loving yet lethal. Reynolds reflected, trust blinds us, she used it. Jaden and Maya faced a future without her, their innocence marred. And the haunting truth remained, the scariest killer isn't from the shadows, but from the place you trust most, a mother, a neighbor, a friend.